So, where do we begin? Doctor Strange.
Yes, it was definitely a movie.
Let's start from the beginning.
I think what would be a good idea would be if we both just summarize the plot.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just do a
No, I reckon we should do the spoiler-free version first.
How do we summarize the plot?
No, as in thoughts about the movie, spoiler-free.
Okay. Yeah.
And then...
It was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Let's begin with the logo. The new Marvel Studio logo.
Yeah, okay. Well, if we're going to talk about everything. Well, first and foremost, the car park at Eastland. That's poorly designed.
I feel like you're giving away our location there a bit.
Any land can be east. It's not representative of the greater Ringwood area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally think the layout is poor.
Mm-hmm.
You keep going higher and higher, and it just doesn't seem to be. You're not at the movies yet, and then only when you get up to that.
The car park.
Yes. So yeah, basically you go up there and you finally get there onto the final, car park floor, and only then does it have a sign that says cinemas. It's a huge leap of faith to go from ground floor up like 5 ramps to get to these cinemas. So the logo.
Yeah, this is the first time I was seeing it in the proper big screen, so that's why I was a bit excited.
Oh yeah.
To see Black Panther and all the new pantheon of Marvel heroes.
Yes. We could probably cut that. That is going to be difficult to edit. So I'm just going to jump right in.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought the movie was good. I thought Benedict. It was a nuanced character. I think. I think there's certain things within the movie. I felt like he had a sort of, like a dark sexual past that wasn't really like hinted at or acknowledged or like spoken about in any way.
Well, you mean like 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah, I feel like there's something. Maybe there's a history of abuse in his family, whether it was by him or to him. I'm not too sure.
So you reckon him and Rachel Adams did some pretty kinky stuff?
Oh, yep. I think
All right.
his
While
hands.
with Rachel Adams, this is not a spoiler. What's with the bloody mole on her face? Is that a prosthetic or does she actually have it? This might be going off topic a bit.
Does Rachel McAdams have a natural mole?
We can get back.
I'm not Googling, I'm just asking. Does she have a natural... I'm sorry if it sounds like... Yeah. So, I felt like, Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was a pretty interesting character. I felt like he was hiding something, maybe some sort of dark sexual secret.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually... I didn't think he was that good, to be honest, in the film.
I feel like we're jumping into spoilers once again, but should we just do it?
All right, let's go spoilers from here. Doctor Strange dies. His beard, his hair actually, I think there'd be shades of grey in that. 50, I'm not sure.
So what else? What else did you like about the movie? Tony?
I felt like Tilda. She was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
A role that would normally be reserved for a more famous actor.
Yeah. What about her shiny little head?
Yes, I felt like I could see myself in the back of her head. She's the reflection. It's quite high.
She almost had a Eye of Agamotto type scar on the back of her head.
Yes.
I don't know if that was intentional.
Definitely. Is that short for Matilda? Are we gonna assume that? Can we assume something like that?
Oh, could be. I never thought about that.
Yeah, nice spot.
You heard it first here.
I once saw Chiwetel in a movie.
Yeah.
And I was at the cinemas and I was watching a trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he looks familiar. And as it turns out, it was...
Did you see him in person?
He was in a trailer.
Ah, okay.
And I was watching a movie and it was a trailer for him and I go, where have I seen that guy before? And it was actually the trailer before. They did 2 in a row. He was in that movie. Let's say Interstellar.
Oh, he wasn't Interstellar yet. True. All right, can I tell you my thoughts about the movie? I felt like it was probably the best Marvel movie that I've seen so far. Big call, maybe?
That's a big call. That's today's big call.
So yeah, I felt like it had all the elements in place. Great cast, great story.
Unneeded humour.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was definitely not needed.
Yeah, they were sort of intercutting all these serious set pieces and action pieces with humour.
They said, Benedict, you need to play Stephen Strange, but Stephen Strange played by Will Smith.
Yeah.
So we want some of that sort of.
To finish what I was going to say. So yeah, great cast, great story. They stick to just the essentials. There's no like subplots and unnecessary stuff. It's just
That's true.
like pretty much goes through. Here's this guy goes into an accident, fucks up his life, and then goes to Nepal and
Acts
then
like a dick.
acts like a dick, and then finds his comeuppance, and then figures some shit out on his own. So that's it. It's like a short story. You start with something that happened at the start of the day, and they finish at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like one single stream, which is pretty good. The visual effects, we'll talk about it a bit later, but
Yes.
I felt like they actually outdid a lot of the other Marvel movies and other movies from the opposing
Movies in
camp
general.
called DC.
Yes. Ooh. We
I
are
was
now
gonna touch
entered
it
the DC zone.
No. There's no. Let's come back to that later. So yeah, the visual effects were pretty good. It felt like it was a movie that was very expensive, but not really, because there's all the stuff is pretty much just floating around, spinning and
Yeah.
tumbling into voids every 5 minutes and that sort of stuff. So yeah, good effort.
What did you think about Marvel Cinematic Universe's propensity to develop their villainous characters? Do you feel that Caecilius perhaps was still a little bit undeveloped?
I feel like the curse of the weak villain in the Marvel multiverse continues.
It does continue.
It does continue. Having
Unfortunately.
said that, Dormammu, he was fucking awesome. Like, if you look at the comics, which I did this morning,
Someone
Dormammu is
researched.
just this amorphous, really abstract being. And the way they brought him to life in the movie was actually pretty good.
I'm going to, jump in and say that I actually thought it was Thanos for a second. And I thought that would have been pretty sweet.
He had a strong jaw.
Yeah, definitely that's the kind of jaw, that's the jaw that women seek out, It's a good jaw.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of women in Dark Dimension, but yeah. I hope Dormammu, gets around a bit.
Fun moment in the movie. There's a kid crying, and an Englishman goes, "Oh, will you take him out already?"
Oh, I thought it was the
This
husband.
is somewhat unrelated to the movie, but that was quite funny. So, there's definitely comedy in the movie.
Oh yeah, they were trying to undercut all these serious moments with comedy. Like Matilda Swinton.
Yes.
Swanson?
Swanston. It's Swinton.
Swinton, yeah. Matilda Swinton almost dies, and then they're pushing her through in a stretcher. And then Rachel McAdams goes, "Oh, not again."
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
I do feel like that properly represents the plight of the American, emergency worker.
Ooh.
Not again,
we're getting a bit political here.
I think we got to bring back the troops. So first and foremost,
We're 10 days away from the election. Though.
we are.
Mhm.
That's not, technically relevant to the movie, but it is. It's big news.
Yeah.
News of the day.
Yeah. We'll probably cover it in our other podcast.
Yes, President Strange.
Exactly. All right. So what else? What else do you think was good about the movie?
What else was good about the movie?
All right, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep. He.
His accent was a bit off though.
I thought it was.
Did you
I thought it was good at I thought it was sufficient. It's hard to. It's hard to picture him as anything other than British, and I felt like
Exactly.
it can be a bit forced at
It
times.
was a bit of a dissonance for me to hear him speak American accent, and that to the New York accent. which I
I'm
think is
impressed
what
that he
was
did
trying to
it, but I think they could have just made the good Doctor British, and we would all been happy,
do. Yep.
and just the world would have been a better place.
So the accent was a bit off, but I think he nailed the part totally.
Chiwetel.
No.
Benedict.
Benedict.
Yeah, he was good. It came to life. I could picture him as that now. He's still Benedict Cumberbatch though. That's it's the same with the Mads Mikkelsen guy. He's still Hannibal to me.
He's still Sherlock to me, which is why probably I couldn't get that the New York accent out of my head. But yeah, I reckon he did a really good job.
Yeah.
So you reckon he's going to be the new Tony Stark of the Marvel
I think
universe?
so. I think they set it
Looks
up.
like they've placed it.
I felt like this was reinvigorating the entire sort of cinematic universe where you'd be going. You've got all these movies. We've seen 15 fucking movies. Who gives a shit anymore? Nobody does.
Bloody Thanos. Yeah.
And it's everyone's got blue balls or purple, depending on what skin Thanos has. And we just want to fucking something different now. And Ant-Man was sweet. And Avengers was really long. But this feels like something new, you know. I can get behind. It's restarted my love for these type of movies. It was different enough that it fits in, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, kind of does. Because I was never a fan of the Marvel movies until now. I had a minor liking for maybe Thor, the first Thor, whatever that movie was, because of all the special effects and the way they visualized that world. This is a hard thing to do, Asgard and all that stuff, without making it look cheesy. And then Iron Man was good just because of the characterization. And it's the first time you're seeing such a, like a fun little playboyish inventor with a nuclear reactor in his chest.
Set somewhat in the real world.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're trying to make more realistic.
Yeah, Afghanistan and make it more realistic and stuff. So I reckon those are the only two movies that I liked. Avengers was a bit of a, I don't know, it was too much to take. And I hate the Captain America movies, unpopular opinion, I know, but yeah, I've never been a fan of them. So it feels like they've finally reached out to me with this movie.
Yeah.
If I may.
Yep, they eventually just got the mix of actors and source material to win you over.
Yeah. And the director, Scott Derrickson, I think he's done a couple of horror movies before.
Yep.
So I don't know how much that's helped him, or if that was a big, played a big part in him getting the role. But it looks like he's done well.
What's that? I felt like, I don't know. I felt like it could have had something extra. You know what I mean? Like it was really good.
Really?
But I felt like it could maybe have had something. They probably deliberately made it so separate to all the other movies with very, very minor, like with very small amounts of Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Easter eggs. So
We're
there was the
staff
Avengers
of
building.
The staff of the Living Tribunal. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Anyone hasn't seen, you know, look up who is the Living Tribunal. He's this dude with like 3 heads and shit. You know, he's a cool looking dude.
Yeah.
He's a very powerful guy in that universe, I believe. It's this guy, Mr. Triplehead.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so he was a cosmic entity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just felt like, I don't know, I could have had that little bit extra, you know. And I got to say, I wasn't the biggest fan of Chiwetel in this one. I sort of felt like,
as opposed to his role in Children of Men and Inception.
well, the trailers I've seen him in, compared to that, I think he probably nailed it more in the trailers.
He's a trailer guy. He's a trailer kind of guy.
Yeah, I think so.
You don't want to handle too much of him.
He looks like someone you'd want to like, and you go, this is a good actor, and all that sort of stuff. But there was a moment where they were yelling, and it was like, fellas, please, like, just calm down. Let's talk about this like adults, you know?
Oh, he played the Indian guy in Martian as well, which is pretty fucking odd.
He did play the Indian guy, didn't he? That's just range, or possibly racist casting. But probably range.
That's Ridley Scott for you.
Yeah.
He had Christian Bale play the Egyptian guy in the big movie with the whales, Exodus.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually seen that.
So yeah, he does a bit of whitewashing, but you know, with his fence and in his movies.
But yeah, I just feel like, you know, I was pumped when I heard that he was in the movie. I thought, all right, it's going to be cool. This guy's going to be awesome. They might set him up as like a big, you know, potential Phase 4 guy. I don't know. And then I just found him a little bit like, you know, not as inspiring or not as, you know, just, he didn't have that extra thing, you know, like I'd be interested to see how he goes from here. I think he's a good actor. He'd have the range. He could probably pull off, you know, the villain side of it. But he was just kind of like a dull-ish kind of hero.
Yeah, good point. Because if they've shown us Dormammu in the first movie, it's kind of hard to beat it with bloody Baron Mordo in the second one. Like, that wouldn't even make sense. You've shown the biggest fucking guy who's like the Galactus of this particular storyline, and then you're going to this one guy who was also a sorcerer. Yeah. You know, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm keen to see where they go with it next, how it fits into the rest of it. I do think though, you know, the last movie that we saw of these was Civil War, and it's pretty hard to top, you know, an event movie in that way. So, you know, I'm not a fan of Civil War,
really.
as you know.
I thought, you know, can't we all just get along? You know, is that the reason?
Weak motivations, weak villain, and just a bit of the same.
Really?
Of Winter Soldier. I like to see, if it's a comic book movie, I want to see stuff that sort of kindles my imagination. So just to see people fighting on a highway doesn't really do it for me. I'd rather see it in like a Mission Impossible type movie than a comic book movie.
Well, this was actually like an airport, so it wasn't just
Or highway, airport. It's some kind of concrete infrastructure, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally.
In a post 9/11 world, to have a fight like that in an airport is just not.
Well, the airport fight was actually one of the good parts of the movie.
It was probably the main best.
It was a big
part of the
set
movie.
piece. Yeah,
it was the
everything
main
revolved around that.
Yeah, that was the best part of any movie. Is when that happened.
But I felt like that chair drag.
I have to cut that out.
Yep, certain behaviors you have to avoid when you're doing a podcast. Do not
That's
eat
true.
chips. Do not drag the chair.
Do not.
Do not burp. Or really shouldn't be doing a podcast.
We shouldn't be doing a podcast.
We should do a podcast. We should do a vlog.
A vlog. Hey everybody, it's Sky Master 4. Coming out to you. So we're gonna eat a chip today. We're gonna
unbox this new pack of kebabs that we've just got.
Yeah. Like and share, like and subscribe if you if you want. And
all right, back to the podcast.
Yeah, back to the podcast.
What are we talking about? So yeah, in terms of I guess the next phase, it feels like Dr. Strange is going to be the one that's getting all the troops together, because obviously Marvel got a bit sick of paying Robert Downey Jr. $75 million for a movie.
That's true, yeah.
He was just one of the lucky people who signed the contract back in the day where he could just call his shots. So it looks like Benedict Cumberbatch could be a very rich person in the next 5 to 10 years. Obviously there was the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene with Thor where he was trying to offering his help to find
Odin, which was interesting because at the end, long-time listeners of the podcast will remember that at the end of Thor 2, Loki had ascended the throne in place of Odin. He'd kidnapped him and they couldn't find him, and and he was disguising himself. So are we skipping that and moving forward to say Thor's worked it out? He knows it's Loki having a bit of a laugh. Come on, where's Dad? Let's go get him. So I don't know. Are we skipping through that?
I think that's the implication that Loki is somehow hidden Odin, and then Thor somehow finds it out.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to link it back into this. Like, to be honest, it seems like it's like a very good throwback to like a movie that was 6-7 movies.
It was a while ago.
Back. So it's good that they tied it, but if you think about it, they could have actually tied it to anything in the universe, because there's always like a bit that hangs off every movie.
There is. Something I'm looking forward to, hopefully coming back. I don't reckon it will. The Red Skull.
What's happening with the Red Skull?
Well, nothing at the moment. Captain America 1, he touches the Tesseract, he disappears. I feel like, bringing him back. Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah. Bring back Agent Smith.
That's it. Bring back V for Vendetta. No, I don't think he did anything else.
Yeah. So it looks like he's going to be taking over from Iron Man in the Phase 2. Is it Phase 2 or is it Phase 3?
We're already in Phase 3.
Oh, yeah, true.
So I suppose, if you look at what your team's going to be at that point,
yeah.
If you get rid of some of the originals, you're going Doctor Strange, he's number 1.
Yeah.
He's numero uno. Then you probably got Spider-Man. Then you got, that other guy, Black Panther.
Yeah.
And then I would probably have Falcon as Captain America, Captain African America.
Yeah, Falcon's a good guy. The other thing that I've noticed is, and this might be a bit Marvel ticking the diversity box. Captain America, they had Anthony Mackie doing Falcon.
Yeah.
Iron Man had Don Cheadle. And it looks like Chiwetel Ejiofor is the Don Cheadle / Anthony Mackie of this universe.
That could be the case, yeah. You got to have a racially diverse cast. There's also there's a bit sort of they try and get behind some of the Asian actors as well.
Yeah.
You had
Benedict Wong.
You had Benedict Wong as Wong, so that was obviously inspired naming.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got in Thor, you've got that other guy who is like, it's not Volstagg, it's somebody else, but he's this, he becomes Asian himself. And then you've got in Iron Man 3, you've got what's that guy?
Mandarin.
Yeah, what's his name?
The Gandhi guy.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley.
Yes.
So you've got an Indian actor there. We assume
Origin.
somewhat, That's range, okay? If you are a fucking Caucasian actor and you can play an elderly black woman from the 30s, that's just range. That's Bradley Cooper, Hollywood heartthrob, raccoon, mentally ill man in Silver Linings Playbook. He can do it all.
Yeah.
He plays a chef in some shitty movie on Netflix. Wish Sarah's watched it. I will never watch it. There's a lot of crap on there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Vin Diesel.
Someone even called the movie Burnt.
You've got Vin Diesel who can play this one character that says like the same thing over and over, and then he can also play an alien in Guardians of the Galaxy. Such is his range.
Another one thing that he keeps saying over and over again in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
I live for this shit. It's all about the family. We gotta do it together. I don't really feel like that's very accurate. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. For them 10 seconds or less, I'm free. So we got a couple of celebrity guests in here at the moment. If you just call them out, we'll see if they're there. Obviously, a good friend of the show, Russell Brand, is here. Hello, everybody! It's Russell! And see, Russell, person, am trying to lead some sort of revolution in British politics. You've got a person like Donald Trump trying to lead your country. People of America. Is it truly representative of the greater demographics of the American subculture of things like that? I'm okay. Russell, no, I've been 12 years sober. Getting off the heroin. Yeah, so he's gone now.
Yeah.
Who else?
Thanks, Russell, for joining us.
No worries, fellas. Good luck with your podcast. Who else is here?
Looks like you've gone through your repertoire of impersonations.
Well, that actually was Russell Brand. Yeah, he's fallen on hard times.
Mm.
I think that's it. I think I can probably do Russell Brand and I can do Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's like, what? You gonna? Nah, man. What you got? Nah. Kevin Hart is like a small bird that goes to the gym. He is not very good. If you put him and Russell Brand in a movie, I would call it my early suicide.
So yeah, going back to Strange Doctor. The one thing that I noticed, like I said before, about the visual effects and stuff, it was good that, so with these sorts of visual effects where, it's all about dimensions and portals and universes and parallel, all this crap.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, it's very hard to get it right.
Yep.
Because as you've seen with the comics, there's not really a lot to base it upon. It's just a lot of crazy stuff that Steve Ditko and I think Jack Kirby drew back in the day. It's just all this trippy stuff that they did when they were on LSD, I presume.
Yes, after they were snorting lines of coke.
Yeah, so it's gonna be.
Bum holes.
I can imagine it would have been a challenge to visualize it, but I think they did really, really well in that space because it's not all like confused mess, like you'd see in other movies.
Yes,
Wink,
such as
wink.
the Transformers
Batman vs
franchise.
Superman, Doomsday.
Yes, that was
Battle
pretty
sequence.
poor. Who's winning? No one's winning. We're all losing because we're watching this shithouse fucking movie.
Because it's just a bunch of bloody smoke and lightning type shit. So I'm glad that they actually avoided that, and then you could actually see what's happening, but at the same time it was very abstract and it was sort of Inception type stuff.
It was.
throughout.
They probably missed a moment where, Barrett, where Mordo and Strange were there, and then they would have gone to Wong, and then Benedict will be like, is he with you? Baron Mordo will be like, I thought he was with you, and then it's like, you guys are fucking idiots. Like,
Which brings us to our next segment. What would DC do?
what would DC? Okay, great.
So this
great
is a new segment that we're starting because it's a new podcast, obviously. This is a segment where we take a Marvel movie and then we sort of play it out to see what would DC do if they had the same property under there.
I think first and foremost, it would be Dr. Dr. Strange. I feel like first and foremost they would diversify from the Marvel way of just saying what it is. I feel like they would have done something like that, or something even stupider, where instead of just calling it what it is, so you've got Superman movie, they call it Man of Steel, so they would have probably called this Sorcerer Supreme. So that would,
Which sounds like something from a pizza menu.
it does actually, some sort of mystical pizza. I think Mystic Pizza is a Julia Roberts movie. The more you know.
That's the name of this podcast, which is something we have to decide upon.
Yes. We're taking votes for what this podcast will be called. Okay, what would DC do in this instance? All right. I feel like first and foremost, this would be their second crack at it of the character 80. This would be number 2. So this would be... There would be an original Doctor Strange that would be very poorly received. Ryan Reynolds probably would be in it. And then they would have gone, all right, we're going to reboot the franchise in time for Justice League.
With a reputed actor.
Yep. So we'll get someone good. It's probably going to have a real dark tone to it. Doctor Strange, if you will. And what else would how else would they ruin this film?
So you know how we were talking about how he has that undercurrent of abuse or something from his childhood? I reckon they would have shown it.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I think...
young Benedict Cumberbatch in the basement getting beaten by his dad or something.
Definitely. Or beating his dad. One of those two things would sort of really ground the character into a real 2016, you know. I think that, you know, you've got that Mads Mikkelsen. He's you know, great actor. He's got a very expressive face. I reckon they probably would have put a mask on him. So you don't know it's him. So that would be one way they could make this movie worse.
And then Dormammu would probably just be a bloody blob or something.
Yeah, like a cloud.
Yeah.
Which is Fox, really. What would Fox do? That would be great as well. What would 20th Century Fox do to this movie?
They would get an inexperienced but young director to helm the franchise.
Yeah.
And then they'd have second thoughts halfway through.
With a racially diverse... Well, this was a racially diverse cast. But I feel like Wong in their version would probably be, you know, like an overweight... Like the woman from Precious.
Yeah.
I feel like she probably would have gotten into it. What else would they do? I think...
They would have made they would have swapped genders for one of the characters.
Yeah. He might have been a professor.
Actually,
Professor
I think
Strange.
Marvel actually did gender swap it. The ancient one's supposed to be male in the comics.
Yeah. And they got an actor that was very close to being male.
Yeah.
In Tilda.
The other thing that I noticed towards the credits was this movie, well written as it was written by the guy who did Prometheus. Now, I don't know if I've discussed Prometheus with you in the past. Might have happened when I was drunk at a party one time. I don't know.
I do like that movie a lot.
Yeah, so Prometheus is one of my favorite science fiction movies.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of ideas that it touches upon, but it doesn't really spoon feed you
Or
what it's
execute,
about.
or execute any of them very well.
Yeah, some say that's the only failing of that movie.
Yes.
But I feel like I should
Understand.
appreciate it for what it tried. So the guy who did the first draft of Prometheus was called John Spates. And then it went on to the guy who did Lost, Damon Lindelof, who people credit for ruining the movie. But John Spates did the first version of the draft for Dr. Strange as well, which is pretty good. Because there's a lot of hints at something. So obviously, this movie had a big challenge in terms of introducing people to like the abstract and the magic and the occult and, you know,
To a character they're not familiar with as well.
yeah, characters not familiar.
It's not a mainstream.
You know, how would people follow it? No one's, you know, if you haven't read the comics, or even if you have read the comics, some of the stuff is pretty hard to follow. I feel like you're doing the chair drag
I'm doing
again.
the chair thing again. I feel like we should do that again. Okay, so some of
All right, next time you're moving this to the couch.
All right. Let's go.
Anyways, so I feel like the writers had a really big challenge in terms of introducing that sort of world, but in a very short and concise way. So I reckon they did it very, very well executed. So it was in the part, like you could feel it switching from the normal world to the astral plane when she starts explaining to... So Strange was sort of being with us, so like playing the dumb guy, you know, magic's bullshit, there's nothing in this world. And then, you know, the ancient one sort of converts him by showing, look, people have different views, you know, there's acupuncture, there's the other one, there's x-rays, and then now what you're seeing is a unified view of the world. So it's a parallel to the whole, you see one slice of the universe, but, you know, overall there's a lot more to it.
They talked about a few years back, was that they weren't going to do origin movies anymore because they want to just kick everything off, like just get it going. So when we saw Black Panther coming in basically as an established guy, like he's got powers or whatever, he's got the sweet ass suit. With Doctor Strange, when I read that and then when I knew they were doing the movie, I thought, how are they going to execute this without doing an origin story? Because there's so much new stuff. And I felt like they moved through pretty quickly into everything to just be like, here's a guy, he's going to get the powers within like the first 20 minutes and movie on. And I felt like they did that well, where, yes, it was an origin story, but it's not, an hour and a half of someone discovering their powers and then finally getting their powers. Like he's just he's a poor magician for most of it, or sorcerer, or wizard, or he's not that good for most of it, and then he's pretty good at the end. He's got some powers. I think that, just to touch on this, and we could probably cut it and put it in later about the DC thing. I guess another thing with the whole DC side is they probably could have given him an Australian accent. I feel like that would have been difficult. Somewhat like that movie, The Fifth Estate. So they could have done that. Get a talented British actor, and then turn him into a somewhat hated Australian enthusiast, if you will. Julian.
Oh yeah, the way they introduced the So yeah, John Spates, I think he did a really good job, had a really good crack at opening up this movie to a lot of people who normally wouldn't be interested in this sort of stuff. And I think everyone else pretty much just stuck to the script and then delivered a really good product. I reckon they'd go with someone. So what you need is the dignified grey hair by the side of your temples.
So they wouldn't have that, obviously.
They would probably do something else with that.
Yeah.
They'd probably make it a bit more, cool.
I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to say Michael B. Jordan.
Nah, no way. They're not gonna. I feel like even in this post-racial world, they never go that far.
They wouldn't go Michael B. Jordan.
No.
He's a great actor.
No. So if you think about New York, and then someone who's in that whole, New York type thing.
I don't think people click their fingers quite as much as you
assume. Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit stereotypical there.
That's a bit racist to New Yorkers,
So who's been in a lot of New York movies? So maybe Woody Allen.
You think Woody Allen is...
He would have been a good Doctor Strange. He's done a lot of movies based in New York.
Actually, I'm going for it. They would have spent a shitload of money and they would have got Matt Damon. And they would have gone, he's fucking box office gold. You put him in anything, people will buy it, okay?
Really? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would... if Matt Damon was a drug that you could buy in the streets, I would have overdosed a long time ago. Inject that guy into my veins. Yeah, he's a John Everyman, He's a fucking great protagonist, How do you root against a guy like that? Chiseled jaw.
My choice was going to be actually... all right, this is sticking with the Michael B. Jordan theme. I feel like they'd actually have... Well, ignoring Suicide Squad, they would have gotten Will Smith.
Yeah, same. That would be an absolutely terrible fucking movie. Will Smith as Sorcerer Supreme. Damn, girl! I didn't realize that ass was that ancient. That's what he would have said. That's Will Smith playing Will Smith in every fucking movie.
How old did you say you were? 12. Motherfucker, you look 30.
Yeah, nice. He would do that. I want you to put down the sword, back up, get me some pack of tropical fruit bubblicious. That's what he says in Bad Boys.
Should probably edit that out.
Yeah, that's pretty... He's just fucking Will Smith in every movie. Like, why would anyone want that? We know Will Smith. He's like 30 years into his career. You don't need to keep playing Will Smith. Do something different. Do that African movie about concussion. I am going to tell you what to do with a brain.
Have you seen it?
No. No, I haven't. That's how I know it's like that. It's actually quite a good movie. I softened my stance on Will Smith for a short amount of time after that. And then I watched Suicide Squad and I thought... Why would you take a movie that there was zero chance this movie would be anything but fun, and they found a way to make it not fun? Hey, here's some underdeveloped characters.
Yeah.
Hey, let's have the main bad guy of the movie be started by the woman that came in and was like setting up the team in the first place. So it's like she's so fucking incompetent that it's just like, hey, we've got a fucking, I'm so powerful, I've got this girl controlled.
Tony, I have to remind you, we're not reviewing Suicide Squad.
No, we're not. It's a bad movie.
Anyways, so what all I was trying to say was they would have either gotten Will Smith to be, let's change the
ancient
races,
yeah.
Or I reckon they would have gotten someone like Tom Cruise.
Oh,
because he's never headed up a big franchise so far. I feel like, once you tap into a bit of the Cruise potential,
Now that would be so bad.
Which I believe Universal are doing with the whole monster franchise. Apparently, he's going to be the mummy hunter in the Mummy
That
or the
sounds terrible.
monster extended universe that Universal's doing.
That sounds awful. The good thing about Tom Cruise is that it gives more work to short actors, because you can't put Tom Cruise around normal sized people. He is like 5'6". You have to get very short actors to stand. Like they have to do like forced perspective and do these shots to try and make it look like he's a normal sized human.
A bit like Gandalf and the Hobbit guy in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he is Elijah Wood. That's what he is. But that Edge of Tomorrow was pretty sweet. So
Oh, they're doing a sequel for Edge of Tomorrow now.
they are.
Yeah. All right. The one thing that I forgot to mention, sweet Easter egg, Stan Lee reading Dose of Perception on the bus.
So I couldn't what he was reading. So.
Yeah. I think it was a nice little callback to the Dose of Perception, which obviously if you read the code, it says when the Dose of Perception are cleansed, everything will seem as it is infinite. So yeah, that was a good, nice little nod to the whole parallel world multiverse situation.
What about the Infinity Stone at the end?
Oh yeah,
Something we're all suspecting.
I feel like everyone apart from, I don't know,
Benedict.
No, Benedict would be the first person to know. Pretty much everyone knew that the Eye of Agamotto was the time gem. It was going to come into play with the old Thanos and Gauntlet situation. So yeah. And related trivia, I've heard that they've recorded all the next 3 or 4 Stan Lee cameos for the upcoming movies because they're a bit,
Yeah.
He's a bit, he's getting a bit old there.
A bit long in the tooth.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope they actually, and I think this was mentioned in one of the other podcasts as well. I hope they actually do a full body 3D scan of Stan Lee, so they can just keep inserting him into all the bloody movies that they're going to produce for time
Just
to
forever.
come. Yeah.
Until they reboot the franchise. I just put a note here when it was in the movie. Dinesh did not want any popcorn, so I'll just repeat that. Dinesh did not want any popcorn.
Also, first mention of my name in the podcast.
Oh, nice. My name is Tony. So what else was there to chat about over the week? You've got...
Okay, so I feel like my experience of this movie has been severely improved by the fact that I watched Jack Reacher a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the only time anything's ever been improved by watching a Jack Reacher movie, in comparing to another movie, a better one.
So yeah, obviously we went and saw it with the friend of the podcast, Jason.
Yes.
And as I dropped him off after the movie, he sort of went. So I hope you and Tony enjoyed the Mysterious Professor movie.
I could see that kind of ignorance coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Reacher, fucking 9:15 on a Thursday night. Not a great idea.
Yeah.
Not a great option.
Wasn't great.
Bad time, bad movie. Bad decision.
How are we doing here? Oh, we did 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
Good job,
That's heaps.
Tony.
I reckon let's call that.
Yep. You want to call it? So, in summary, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Strange movie. Or do we have a rating system? Obviously, Jack Reacher was rated just a movie.
If you put Jack Reacher now at, let's say, 0, you could probably put this movie comfortably at about an 8.5.
Or should we say the full spectrum of our rating is pretty much Jack's Reacher on one end and Doctor Strange on the other?
Well, that's really the only
Those are the
points
two
of
only
comparison.
movies that-
Yeah, you may have to reassess that.
I reckon this is like Top Gear where we start, relisting the order every time we do it.
So I'm going Doctor Strange 1, Jack Reacher a distant, but still second 2.
All right. Good job, Tony.
Well done.
All right.
Now, word from our sponsors.